First, in regards to St. Malachy, I am not convinced that the description, Peter the Roman, applies to this newest pope in the way that would really satisfy me. It seems like we're doing a lot of mental gymnastics to really make this connection. Any prophecy outside of the Bible is extra biblical, so I take it with a grain of salt anyway. I'm not going to sit here and say that he has not been right or much more accurate, let's say, about some of the other more recent popes. I'm not even going to argue that this could be the last pope. I'm not even going to argue that this guy might not be the one that's in office when the seven hills are destroyed. But the most clear descriptor in his prophecy of this pope is that he would be known as Peter the Roman. Now, perhaps time will prove that true, but the gymnastics being done to currently prove that true just bugs me. And I think any good prophecy is a lot more accurate and a lot more obvious.
Welcome to the vlog.
Let's just give you an example of what's being done, but apply it to me. If you wanted the Peter the Roman prophecy to somehow apply to me, how would we do that? Well, my name is Jim. Jim is short for James. James, the original apostle, or you can even say James, Jesus' brother, rubbed elbows with the real Simon Peter back in the day. So there's the Peter connection. And I was born in Germany because my dad was serving in the military in the mid-70s when I was born. And Germany was once a Roman territory in the Roman Empire. So there you go, Peter the Roman. That applies to me. You see how absurd that is, and yet that's kind of what's being done here. This pope chose the name Francis, and people are saying, well, the person that he's paying honor or homage to is St. Francis of Assisi. His real name had Peter as the middle name, and even though this guy's from Argentina, both of his parents were born in Italy, and so he's of Roman descent, Peter the Roman. Seriously. Another supposedly fulfilled prophecy as of late, at least as postulated by P.P. Simmons, who I ultimately have no problems with, I just disagree about their assessment on this one, is regarding the abomination of desolation. Now this prophecy is in the Bible. It can be trusted. It's just, I believe, they are applying it to a situation where it just does not work. They speculate that in this picture, as Obama is in the church where the supposed birthplace of Christ took place, that this fulfills the scripture that says, when you see him standing where he ought not stand. There's several problems, though, with assuming that this is the sign that the Bible predicted. Problem one is this is a Christian church. It's a Christian monument. It's a sacred place for Christians, not necessarily Jews. If you read the rest of the prophecy, when the abomination of desolation stands where he ought not, those in Judea recognize it as a sacrilegious thing, realize they missed their Messiah and they better run for the hills. The only people that realize Obama probably shouldn't be standing in this place are Christians, and it doesn't alert the Jews that they missed their Messiah. It doesn't alert them to a point where they head for the hills. So unless the news just hasn't been reporting that this event really disturbed the Jews and that the Jews are all packing up and heading for the hills, or at least a faction of them are, then this is an unfulfilled prophecy, and that's not the sign that alerts them to head to the hills. Let me just show you how accurate prophecy can be and why I am as strict as I am when claims like this are being made. In Psalm 22, there are several verses I want to highlight that actually are very dead-on accurate regarding the crucifixion. You have to understand, when the Psalms were written, crucifixion was not even a known form of torture or death sentence. Starting in verse 1, it's written, my God, why have you forsaken me? Jesus says that on the cross. So far, we can tick that box very accurate. In verse 6, he's despised of the people. I would say that's true. They despised him so much that they let a known criminal go free and put him on the cross, even though Pontius Pilate found him to be innocent. Verse 7, all those who see me ridicule me, they shoot out the lip, they shake their heads, saying, in verse 8, he trusted in the Lord, let him rescue him, let him deliver him, since he delights in him. This is referring to the mocking that takes place when he's on the cross. People basically say, you should have the power to get off of that cross, so why don't you? In verse 13, they gape at me with their mouths like raging and roaring lion. 14, I'm poured out like water, all my bones are out of joint, my heart is like wax, it is melted within me. 15, my strength is dried up like a potsherd. I'm not pronouncing that right. And my tongue clings to my jaws, and you have brought me to the dust of death. There is a part where Jesus is suffering on the cross where he asks for some water, and they soak a sponge and they put it in vinegar, I believe, because he is so dehydrated that his tongue is sticking to the roof of his mouth. Verse 16, for dogs have surrounded me, the congregation of the wicked has enclosed me. They pierce my hands and my feet. Talk about accuracy. 17, I count all my bones, they look and stare at me. Verse 18, they divide my garments among them. For my clothing they cast lots. If verses 1, 6, 7, 8, 13, 14, 15 didn't do it for you, verse 16, 17, and 18 are incredible. They pierce my hands and feet and count all the bones, divide my garments. They cast lots for my clothing. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is called accurate prophecy. If I hadn't told you that this was Psalm 22, most people would probably assume I'm reading some scripture verses in either Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. Just something to think about. Last but not least, I am in no way claiming that we are not in some very crazy, prophetic, end times scenarios. I mean, the month of March was really crazy. The last 10 years have been really crazy, and it just depends on what topic you want to throw out there. The natural disasters, the unexplained massive deaths of birds and sea life, the incredible and enormous amount of asteroid activity, meteorite activity, death, pestilence. Right now there's a couple of different plagues of locusts in Egypt and nearing Israel. At least there was a week or two ago. I don't know what's going on with that now. Politics are crazy. We are moving more and more toward one world government. Economies are falling, seemingly intentionally, so that the one world government can emerge. Legislation is getting passed that nobody wants. Pretty much things are being signed into law by executive order as though we are ruled by a king and that this is not a democracy. So, and even though I say the St. Malky thing didn't quite add up for me, the last time a pope left office, retired instead of just dying, was 600 years ago. I mean, there's no lack of interesting and semi-scary headlines coming at us these days. My speculation or my skepticism on these two particular items has nothing to do with the fact that we have good reason to believe we're in the season of the end. We actually have lots of good reasons to believe that.
The vlog is now over. You may go away.